Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Vaughn with CCM and Singing News, and we're here today with special guest Point of Grace, and they have a new book coming out on October 27th called How You Live, Lessons Learned from Point of Grace, and today we have Denise and Shelley and Lee. Hi ladies.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, how did this book come about?
Well, I just decided one day I wanted to write a book.
Because you have so much to say.
Yes. Actually, that's a good question. We were kind of coming off the heels of two records back to back, two projects with Lifeway, a Christmas record, followed pretty quickly by a hymns and worship record. And we were just having trouble kind of gearing up for another singing project, really. And so we loved working with Lifeway, and we were talking to them just about some different ideas. And the idea of doing another book came up, and, we had done several different kinds of books through the years, devotional books, girls' Bible study books, an autobiography, a cookbook.
I have that.
Yes. Cooking with Grace. And so just kind of after brainstorming a while, we decided that we would, since we all just had one of the magic birthdays, we all turned 50. And so in this past, year and a half or so, and just kind of felt like maybe it was time. We've been around long enough in the industry and as moms and now empty nesters, lived through a lot of the seasons of life, that we can maybe just document some of the things that God has taught us along the way and how he's grown us. And so that's kind of how the idea for this book of essays, of lessons that we've learned, came about.
So there's 40 essays. What topics do they cover?
Well, they cover a little bit of everything as far as expecting a baby.
Why are you pointing at her?
Well, because that's her chapter. That's her essay.
Expecting a baby.
Expecting a baby. Regrets and grace, anxiety, hospitality, fun with family. I mean, the gamut. Conflict. I mean, it's just our journey. It's our journey over the past 25 years, and we sat down in a room, and all of us could speak into some of those, but some of those topics were more spotlit to that personal, that individual personally. And so that's, and one of the things too in this title, Point of Grace, Lessons That We've Learned, it's because we're still learning, and there's still lessons in life, and we're still trying to be students of life. And we're still that, we're the clay, and he's just kind of still working on us.
Now, do y'all have a favorite essay?
Well, writing is not my favorite thing to do, but I will say one that came out, I think because it came very easily to me. My son had texted me, and he just a short text of, "Hey, I'm going to stop by Sonic." It was literally something like that, and I texted him back, "Okay," and I accidentally typed a period at the end of the "okay," which I didn't realize that adding that period made my tone of that text say, "Okay, well, whatever," And so he came home real quick, and I was like, "Well, that was fast." And he was like, "Well, you sound like from your text you were upset." And I was like, I just said okay. I didn't have time to put like the thumb emoji and all of that. But it was one of those times when the Lord just really gave me this thought of, for so long, you misunderstood my text. You misunderstood my tone. And kind of over the past 10 years, I've been on a journey of just hearing God's tone of voice in a different way and reading his word and hearing it from, not that he doesn't convict me of my sin, but he does it in a way that I hear he wants what's best for me. So anyway, that for me was one of my favorites.
What was the title of that particular?
God's tone of voice.
Gotcha.
How about you two ladies?
I like that one. That's my favorite one. For me, I have ones that kind of like Denise was saying that were easy to write because it took me back in a time capsule of fun memories. Like I wrote about my sisters. I wrote about siblings. That was a lot of fun because that had to do with childhood and just kind of remembering what a great childhood I had, all the way up until we're just stair steps apart and how we're still very, very close friends. And growing up, my mom was so worried because all we did was fight. We fought and we were very loud, and we were all sisters. And so that was a fun chapter to write, a fun essay to write. Probably the one that was the hardest was Regrets and Grace. And it was just my testimony of just the icky journey I took based on choices I made. But the great reward was his redemption and his grace. And so, so those are probably, kind of the yin and the yang.
I have a few that I enjoyed writing. One that comes to mind was just about like raising kids and stuff. And there was a time, I think, when my daughter was younger that I was really on a hamster wheel of just trying to just make sure I didn't mess up and, make her be involved in everything. And you're going to take piano and you're going to play soccer and you're going to just in that, getting caught up in that, like keeping up with the Joneses, and the Joneses you cannot keep up with.
Right. I mean, you just can't.
It's impossible. She's the literal Jones, but she wasn't like that. But just trying to keep up with what all the other moms were doing and kind of comparing yourself and stuff, and so but I kind of feel like I got freed of that, when she was at an earlier age, maybe first or second grade, and there was just a pastor in a Bible study that was just reminding us that our main job as moms was just to pass on the story of Jesus. And if we got that right, then everything else would kind of fall into place and stuff. And so that sort of shifted my perspective about things. And it kind of just made me less anxious or less scared that I was going to mess up and stuff. And I'm sure Caroline was like, why are we doing devotions after dinner and before bed and whatever, after that. But it was a shift in the way I thought about things and my perspective and what we talked about at the house and just kind of where our kind of focus was in a way. So that was a fun one to kind of think back on and write. And so
how interactive is the book for the reader?
Actually, we were quite intentional as we were wrapping the whole thing up. We wanted to make sure, because this book is about passing the story down, we wanted to leave an opportunity for others to pass their story down. So at the back of the book, which I think I kind of just turned to, oh, look at there, lessons learned. We've left some blank sheets of paper for the person to write down.
Wrapper, sorry.
For the person to write down maybe lessons they've learned in their life. And it's so great to involve all of our senses, our touch, our sight, our hearing and touch, and writing down those things and seeing how God's faithfulness has connected dots in our lives. But the great thing about this book is just in thinking forward and passing it down. I actually just found out that I'm going to be a great aunt. And so I've got a baby shower coming up. And so for me, I'm going to be giving this book to my niece-in-law. And I'm going to put a nice little thing I learned as in parenting, and I'll write in here, take your children's detours. That was a lesson that I learned in parenting. So yes, we want to involve the reader because we want the reader to get involved and write some of those things down.
There's also a lot of questions, just like thought-provoking questions also a lot of thought-provoking questions. You think I didn't sing in a microphone for a living. A lot of thought-provoking questions that go along with each chapter just to kind of make the reader contemplate, what they've read about and kind of ask themselves a question. So you can use this sort of as a journal in the back or as if you're giving it as a gift to, like Lee said, write down a piece of advice or, something like that.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming in today.
you.
We're very
Thank you.
excited. October 27th, How You Live, Lessons Learned from Point of Grace. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
It started because my son had texted me and I texted him back. And
Will that be edited out or will we keep that in? I think it'd be good to keep in. I like it.
There you go. Bloopers. Yes.
Bloopers draw people in.
Let's see if we can fix
Set that up, Denise.
Maybe.